All right, some days I get these, because I have my own personal journey that this is all about. Like, this is, like, when I started my channel, it wasn't just to, like, talk about what's going on in the world. It is, like, was a whole bunch of different things. And, you know, but I know that, like, while all this stuff's going on, the people who want to listen is talking about, you know, seeing the world through a different lens instead of seeing what they're showing you, to see it through a different lens. And I have a different lens that I look at life through. And so, you know, I talk about all that stuff, but I also have my own personal stuff. Like, when starting this was, like, I didn't realize, like, there's a lot of things you don't realize on your healing journey is, until you get past things. Once you get past things, you see it more clearly. And so, you know, it had a big thing to do with my throat chakra and speaking my truth. And that has been such a huge thing through all of this. And the realization as my own being as how much I had shut myself down. And because of all of the, you know, I just didn't find people that I would vibe with, you know, like, people would just always think I was weird, I was deep. Like, people just didn't see things the way I saw things. So they interpreted how I saw it in a different way than how I meant it a lot of times. So anyways, there's just been, it's like been in the life in a communication gap. That's what it's been like. And so, and they give past lives and stuff, you know, when you ask them to show you like what you're working on and stuff, a past life, you know, scene or something will pop in and you will see different things, but you'll understand. It's like one little picture can tell you a million things about yourself. It's crazy. But so, anyways, that has been a part of my whole thing. Like, this whole channel has been also a part of, like, it's multifaceted. Like, there's more than one thing going on. Because it is like my guides want me to share this information because it will help other people. But it's really important because it's not like I want people to start relying on me and my guides. It is, I'm trying to get people to understand and to their own guidance, because that's empowerment, is when you learn to trust yourself and your own guidance, because your path is unique to you. And just as my path's unique to me. And we all have different roles that we're playing. And so I think it's really good, you know, for us to be able to connect on the spiritual level where we can all be like, okay, we're in agreement. There's spiritual life going on here. I just was watching a case. I'll talk a little bit about it. It had popped up after I had finished the Candy Camacho story. I think that's her name. You know, the axe murder story. But then this other one was a true story too. I love the true stories, man. But the true stories really show you. I mean, they do take some leaning, so you can't get really caught up. But a lot of times it shows the judicial, what people have to overcome in the judicial and the crime ones and stuff. And so it's, I don't know, there's just some bullshit, man. But, anyways, this morning I was just feeling really, really weird. And, sometimes like this person who I'm, have this entanglement with, like, I don't know what else to call it, like quantum entanglement. It's like this soul connection, but it isn't one that you, because everybody you meet, you have a soul connection with. Like, people talk about, oh, my soulmate, my soulmate. There's different degrees of what people come to teach you, what you come to learn from different people. But everybody you cross paths with, everyone who enters your orbit has a frequency, is contracted with you to play out a role, play out a scene. You know, it's like a scene in a movie. No matter if it's you just standing by in flowers and someone walks up behind you, it's a scene of a movie. It all is people who you are already associated with. So all these people that you pass and smile at and stuff like that you think you don't know, you do know them. That's why they're in your orbit. But it is part of the game. You're not supposed to remember them all. It'd be kind of, you know, it wouldn't be as fun if everybody, you know, it's like, oh, there you are, there you are, there you know. Instead, you get to go through and actually play out a scene and not remember who everybody is. So it makes sense in the game, the veil, you know. And it has to do with social experimenting too. Like there's so many levels of things going on, man. And, because it was still something I wanted to say about mine, because, you know, it is my own personal stuff too, that, you know, the stuff that I go through, like when my healing started, because, there's like, I talked about before, it's like goes in segments of, you know, the process of healing and rebuilding and figuring yourself out and stuff like that. And it's all going to be unique to you, what your lessons are, what your lesson plan is and stuff. And it is, it has been really long, you know, in certain parts, and this is stuff where, you know, I'll talk about it more after, because it won't make any sense to talk about it beforehand. But it is still like there has to be some sort of reference as I go along through this talking, so that it's clear that I am also going through this other thing that has to do with my own personal experience. Because as those things play out too, that is going to have a significant part of my journey. And so, you know, I can't, there's a lot of things that I say even that is like I have a certain attitude towards certain things. But then I know when this thing happens, it's to show me this other side. So, you know, and I have to be open to that, but I still have to also recognize how I feel about something before something else happens. So, you know, but that doesn't mean like it is being a hypocrite or being something like that. It is being like in a fluctuation, in a movement into a new experience. And so that you can, it's like a experience, the new experience, but you have to be open to it. Like it's kind of like where people hold themselves back. It's because they don't open themselves up to the things that they need to open themselves up, because that is part of their journey, is learning how to open themselves up. Like there's people who are in the developmental kind of phase who think that they're further ahead, but they're still in this other phase, get to the point of receiving or something. And so the, you know, and so it's all part of, everybody has their own journey, you know, and nobody's doing it wrong. It is just becoming more aware of it and participating in it in a different kind of way. And, you know, like for my, my thing, my own journey, you know, when they showed me this person who I was, like coming towards, I guess I would say, it was like they showed me my match, and then they started showing me all these things that we matched. It was like totally trippy, because it was like I wasn't expecting it or anything. But there's been all of these different things, like what I've said. You know, this person's come in my dreams. Like they have talked in my head, like all sorts of crazy shit. And so, and you know what? And then this is all on this spiritual realm, which people don't even believe is real. So like people won't even talk to me about that. But it's really something strange to go through, especially when you're by yourself, and it can make it where you can feel like you're crazy or something. And that's where you got to keep trusting yourself. Like going where people go crazy, it's where they lose a grip of their own state of mind. You know, there is no crazy. crazy as you losing your own grip. And it's easy to do. You know, you can feed the beast and lose your grip. So it is so crazy. When I'll say something, it's like the TV will match what I'm saying sometimes. And the words and everything is trippy. But, okay, so when this happened for me and this person, and then they start showing me all this stuff with this person. And where I was like, I was really surprised because I thought it was going to go the other way. I thought this was going to, like, convince me that I was crazy, but it convinced me the other thing. And then there's a whole battle where you got to, like, trust yourself through the process. And what's crazy is this, me coming out and talking what they had showed me, and it was more in it. It wasn't like when I very first started. Like, I'm telling you, they'll tell you things when you need to know them or something. It's like when you're supposed to be doing something, they're not going to jump up and tell you everything up ahead. Like, there's certain things. It is kind of, for me, where it's kind of like a lure or something, to kind of a direction, a kind of showing you something. Man, this stuff is so on another level. It's hard to explain, because in other ways, other things like start coming into your head and make up more, because everything is so, it's just like bigger. But so when I had started it, it was like a multi thing, you know, it was a part of me finding me, a part of me speaking my truth, a part of me, and, you know, a big part of my truth has always been, like I said, you know, when I was a kid, I would tell people what they were telling me in my head, and nobody would listen to me. Like, I thought, you know, I've always thought people would be glad to know, like, that's not real about Adam and Eve, with that story that they tell you. Like, all of those things that I would tell, and they would always just think I was crazy. And I for sure know, I told that there was people talking in my head. But see, when you have a super religious mom and a drunk dad, then, you know, dad's only thinking about what, you know, he's doing. My mom, she's very focused outside of, you know, she's not. And how can you think that your child has value if you don't value yourself? And, you know, that's a big problem in our society, is people don't value themselves, and then they have kids. So, I was one of them, so I'm not shaming anybody. But, you know, it's some challenges, and you put some people through some shit. And so on my thing, you know, is about me coming out and speaking and finding myself. And then also, it has been interesting to me, the people, like, because to me, this is a very, I've talked about this before too. Like, it's a significant thing. We'll see. We'll see as this stuff plays out. But you know, I know that I'm not the only person out here who is talking about some of this stuff. And so I know that there's other people who are like me, and they have certain groups of people who have been following them since the beginning. But it's going to be like this switch that is going to happen. And so the people who are being hidden are going to be seen, and the people who are being seen are going to feel exposed. And so there's like this thing happening. And but that is what is really cool about the people who I've been talking to. It's like, it's more of the roots. It's more of the foundation and of the information or something. Because, you know, like Vortex has been, you know, going through this with me through the whole time. And then there's, you know, so many of y'all who come on, and, you know, there's like, we're bonded on this other level. So this is so interesting to me to watch how this stuff plays out. But, you know, one of the things is that they had showed me also was how important it was for this person to find me. and they were going to find me, and that they were going to, you know, sit back and kind of watch and learn about me, kind of, because they had like trust issues or something. And that they had to, you know, it was their, you know, everybody's on their journey to find themselves. Everything and everybody who happens that triggers you is so you can get to the depth of you. And so if you have somebody enter a deep soul connection that is meant to trigger you, then you're going to have things that you're going to think about that you hadn't thought about, because that's how it's supposed to go, because you're supposed to be releasing them. But all those things take time to release. So that is something that they had shown me too, because in my fairy tale mind, I thought, oh, this person's going to see me, it's going to be magic, blah, 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 you know. And then, but that's when they started giving me more like, you know, of real life, of what really has to go on and stuff like that. And so, you know, there's a whole thing about this, you know, that they've shown me and told me, you know, and I don't know if it's like every day or something that they have to see, or if they just come sometimes and hear something and get triggered and then go away and be mad. And, you know, I don't know for sure every little thing, but sometimes it's so, so much a motivation to just start speaking to them directly. Like that is, so, and that is one of those days is today, is where it's weird too, is because when this very first started for me, it was this feeling of like, I got to talk to them. I got to talk to them. I got to talk to them. So when I go through those kinds of things, you know, it wouldn't be being real or being authentic if I pretended like, you know, I'm not having other things go on. You know, it's not just what's going on in the world and what's going on in my family and what's going, no, I have personal, spiritual things happening where, you know, I'm actually having to work on me, and they tell me that this is bringing me closer to this person, that it's this energetic alignment. That's why I call it like a quantum entanglement, because it's like another level, and I know it's going on with a lot of different people. And that is what I think is going to be really interesting when it starts being more like public or something. Like, I think there's going to be a huge group of people who have been in these spiritual entanglements, that have been working on this spiritual level, moving towards, because we're moving into this spiritual time. And so it's like, you know, there's a group of us who are, and I think it has to do with the isolation too, is because it takes away so much of your focus on other things. And so, like I said, you know, since I've been here, you know, I mean, they turned the lights on to tell me to get up and talk. They'll just talk and talk. You know, it definitely is, you know, it's just, it's different. Like, I don't know. It's like picked up momentum or something. It was like all this stuff from when I was a kid. It was like laying the roots. It was like, so I was ready to trust when things got real. And it is during this time of elevation where things got real, where there was so much more I had to trust. And believe me, like, you know, some of the things I've talked about, people just don't, you know, they just think I sound so crazy. But it's like, all I know from when people think I sound crazy is it's their lack of spiritual connection. Because if your spirit is connected, then you will know this other life, this other world, this other state of being. And you'll understand your connections and stuff. Like, where would I come up with this random thing out of the blue? And then how would I be able to make all of these connections be real? How would I be able to, like, there's so much stuff, but you can't tell people. Like, I'm not going to sit there and talk about, like, every little thing, because it just sounds crazy until you have the other side of it, until you see. Then, once that happens, then I would have a whole bunch of different things to say, like, you know, when this was going on, this was happening. Like, there's so much. And that is one thing that keeps coming up to me, where they keep trying to show, is that the reason, like, these kinds of things are going on is because it is, and people talk like on different levels about this stuff. And so sometimes it's like a choice of talking on a level what I think people can understand, and talking on a different level because it is the representation of, you know, like how people only understand spirituality through religion or something. And so the, let me think, because there was something I was going to say about so all of these different things are happening for these people is because once it plays out, it's going to highlight, like where people say it's going to highlight God. The God has chosen, and God will show his, you know, that kind of talk is where I'm talking, like people talk like that. But really it is like these spiritual relationships that people have been working on in spirit time, in the astral world, and meditation, and, you know, however you perceive, is that is going to be like highlighting God or spirit or whatever. It's going to give people this other state of reference, of understanding, because it's going to be like really profound, I think, compared to what we have been experiencing, especially in relationships, you know, where this is kind of strange. And I don't even know if this was a commercial, if this was serious. Like, you don't, like, some of this stuff is so strange. And so this was all different people talking about the, you know, fetus ripping out thing that they do at the PP centers. And, you know, oh, it's so hard to find them now. And so now when people are just going out to hook up, they find themselves talking and asking about someone, you know, how they feel about this or that. It's like, is this for real? Like, are you trying to say, like, now you're going deeper into dating because you fear you won't be able to get this kid out? And, you know, it's like, I don't know. Some of the things that they put out there, you know, to me are like brain teasers. Like, what is your point? What are you trying to say here? But, you know, everybody's got their speaking inside, their voice inside of them, their higher self, their more advanced self, the self of them that is like, you have your first grade self and your 12th grade self. And your 12th grade self is the one you want to be talking to. A lot of people are talking to their first or second grade self, I think, because they're not in that higher state of consciousness. Like, you have to go into, you know, it's like going in and talking to it's slowing down. It's going in and, you know, going over things, looking at it from more perspective, talking to yourself, trying to, you know, understand, you know, why are you doing this? What are you doing it for? Well, is this good? Is this bad? Is it going to hurt this? But like, it just gives you more and slowing you down. And it will, a lot of times, you know, I used to be super impulsive. I thought something, it was out of my mouth the moment I thought it. And you know, people thought I was so strange, but, you know, I wasn't ever hiding myself. I was very impulsive, but now I am a lot more where I do slow down. And there is a lot of things that I think, you know, pop in and I would say, and then I'm like, why would I say that? That just, what's the point? And so then there's a lot of things that are just like, you know, what's the point of saying that? So it does get you to say, like, or stop saying things that, you know, it's like, you just have some little bit of reflection. And there's definitely some things that don't need to be said. And, but because there's something else about, because of that person, they were supposed to come and find me. They were going to get to know me through this, which I didn't know that at the time, which that is also, but you know, one thing that before they even told me that was a huge thing that they kept telling me, was, you know, just be real and be authentic. Be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. And so, you know, that's why I just try and, but I didn't have a strong filter. You know, I've never been a big filtered person. So it is, it's kind of easy for me to just be myself. Like you know, it's kind of strange to me how so many people find themselves not being able to be themselves. Like, I think if I think about when I wasn't myself, like if I wasn't being authentic, the part of me, man, I don't know. Because it's all different levels. Like, to me, the me that was in the rat race, I was always honest about being abused to the point of cringe or uncomfortable to people. I've always been honest. I've always been real. I've always thought, you know, well, for one thing, my mom, you know, programmed it into our heads because my dad was a lying, drunky, and petty, like he was like a lot of things that were, you know, considered negative. And he, what was I going to say? My mom, oh yeah, because my mom, like, beat it into our heads, like, liars are the worst people in the world. Anybody who lies is the most disgusting person in the world. So there's no fucking way I was going to be a liar. That's the most disgusting person in the world. But when you grow up and that is how you think, and then people start lying to you, I'll fuck with your head. And it's like, are you the most disgusting person in the world? Because I kind of see it that way. But anyways, well, like, what was I going to say? Okay, so, but I was always real. Like, to me, I knew about the elephant in the room before that came out. And it was, this kind of stuff would be weird because they would always tell me things. They would always point things out to me. Like, I could have been fucking writing bestsellers probably if I would have been just writing down what they were telling me. But, or I just would have been thought of as being the weirdest person in the whole world, which, you know, I still was, only to a smaller group of people. I don't know. It's funny because if you went and talked to all these people, you know, my different friend groups throughout my time, then I think a lot of them have said, well, you know, she's not that weird. You know, I don't think I was mean to her. But people don't know how, you know, you all have your own perceptions. We all have our own perceptions. And, you know, I think sometimes people don't even realize the things that they say. Like, I've been there. Like, even when I was younger, you know, you would hear people, well, yeah, we can all talk to each other about that, but can't talk to Kelly about that. It's like, because that was like, wasn't like a moral high road because I was very, I mean, I do drugs. I was always in for the experience. Let's go try something out, except for weird, perverted stuff. Like, that is always like, and maybe that was because of, you know, my struggles with being sexually abused as a child and having so many men constantly trying to, you know, so anyways, but that is part of my journey. And I still relate it back to the part of, you know, that psychic told me when I was a teenager about this gypsy life that I, you know, fucked all these people over. And so that is where I feel like that was just, you know, things going full circle. So even if, you know, I got fucked over by somebody, it's not for me to have to figure out. It's either I went full circle or another circle has begun. So, you know, it's not, there's a lot of things that isn't, you know, or you have to figure it out. The things that you need to, you know, figure out for your own self is to make your relationships better. So on whatever level that you have to find yourself to be able to improve your relationships, which to me, you know, like I can know that some of the ones in my family are from past lives and they're probably, you know, super serious relationships, but it is, you know, that's a part of it where I can let it go and be like, okay, so, you know, there's the hard feelings because of something that happened before, you know, and then this life built on that. And so this life is the ammunition. But so because I understand more of a spiritual overview, that I can look at it deeper. I don't just get caught up, and so I don't feel guilt or shame like I'm the worst person in the whole wide world. I did something to hurt this person. I can stand back as an observer, as a spiritual being, and see like, oh, we're in this, you know, entanglement. We're in this, you know, and for your own sanity, for your own peace of mind, it's coming to peace. So, you know, it's not like, you know, you can fix everything. But the goal is to come to peace where you don't hold resentment and anger and frustration and stuff. You just, you know, you just get to the point of you can let things go and feel peace and feel joy. And, you know, you could sit with that person and enjoy a conversation. If it keeps being a battleground, you know, and you can't do anything about the other person, then you can keep finding your own peace. And like I've said, you can ask them to show you past life things. You can ask them to clarify to you, help you understand what it is you're trying to get over with this person. And, you know, just work on that for you. Work on you, and things will improve. But it is also a part of you that will detach from the game, and a part of them that will have to face themselves when they try and continue in the game. So it's kind of like a roundabout way that you help them heal by you stop playing your role. And that will ultimately force them into a state of having to question themselves or spiral out of control. But at this time, the universe is assisting. Like, there's a lot of the noise that was around us. You should be able to hear your guides more. You should be able to be in contact more with them. You should be able to, and even if, you know, don't get caught up in thinking like, you know, you're just having a conversation, because that's how I talk. Because my saying like a conversation isn't just like sitting and, you know, I mean, it can be. They can sit and just have full-on just conversations. But it is, a lot of communication is through a knowing, through a picture, through a word, through an understanding. Like, it's a deeper kind of thing. Like, you don't need, doesn't need to play out like a movie, and you'll see and you'll understand it to your core. And so a lot of those things, so don't think like, well, my guides aren't talking to me because they're not sitting there telling me this, and they didn't tell me that, and they let me fall on my face here and all that stuff. If they let you fall on your face, it's because you would have been damn mad if they didn't. Because you need to fall on your face so that you can figure out how to get up. You need to figure out your tools, what you need to do, how you need to heal and stuff like that. So if they were constantly jumping in and trying to catch you every time you fucked up, you would be angry. You know, you came into this world, and see, they would never do that because they are in a state of observation. They are in they don't have the same connection. They aren't birthed into it. They don't feel the same compelling overall motivation as like how we do. Like, and we've got so many things that is based on, you know, fear and all of those things, that we are scared of this or scared of that. This might happen, that might happen. They don't have that. And they can see like, okay, she's going to fall on her face right there. She's going to get hurt. She's going to go, you know, to the hospital. She's going to make contact with this person. And that had to happen. And then she's going to come home, and then she has to heal. And this conversation with the neighbor had to happen. And then everything that she did, you know, when she learned to do this and that, all those things are why the bad things happen. Because there's so many things that have to happen. It's like a played out. It's like throwing a stone into the water and letting the ripples go out. It's important to the movement in your life. That was weird. I keep having the weirdest stuff in the kitchen. It isn't so much like before, where whenever I go in there, you know, something was knocking shit out of my hands and stuff like that. And those kinds of things, you got to try and keep yourself from not getting upset. because that's why they're doing it, is they feed off of those emotions. And but lately there's so many weird sounds where it's like, you know, are they just trying to get me to, and you don't have control over those little like jolts of emotion, and then they feed off of that energy jolt. Like we don't even, like we think we're this body sitting here. It's like, no, that is just a reflection, just the same thing as that fucking piece of furniture sitting there. That is, to me, it looks like a piece of furniture. The observers, they see color and movement and stuff. They don't see it the same thing as what we see. And so it's the same with us. That's what I was talking about yesterday. Like, what a cool looking thing it must be like to see. When they took me out into like this empty space where I only could just see the earth cycles, but it wasn't like, it was a merry-go, it was a roller coaster, and how I could feel all of this stuff. It was a different way of showing me than like what the watchers see. What they were showing me, it was kind of like everything sped up so that you could see the cycles and you could understand, oh, it's just cycles, like a roller coaster is just going. And you, man, but the thing of hearing the people, oh God, it was so intense. It was horrible. Honestly, it was horrible. I was like, I wanted out of it so bad. I was like, this is horrible, because I could feel the pain. And it was weird because it was like, I could see the roller coaster thing ahead. Like I was coming from out in space, and I could see this roller coaster was like highlighted in light, and I was moving towards it. And I was moving, and the muffled sounds become more clearer and clearer. And then I could hear, and it was like all the emotions. It wasn't just screaming. It was like, oh. It was everything you could imagine. Every emotion, and it was intense. And the visual in my head, it was like a roller coaster ride, like all the people on all these rides. And everybody going in, but in my understanding, I knew like what was really, you know, the trauma and the pain and the suffering that was bringing up so much emotional, and then the short moments of joy, which somebody made a really good point the other day. I heard a video and they said, don't you ever think it's strange how it's so hard to hold on to joy, but it is so easy to hold on to pain? And it is like you can replay pain over and over and over and over, and, you know, and in joy, it is so much harder. Like we really have to be present in our moments, and we really have to learn to release pain and to really be present and create joy, you know, create the periods of time that we want to experience. And, you know, so that's getting out of the trauma, you know, not dreading going and seeing people, and really getting into, you know, this could be your last time with these people. You know, what do you want to do? You want to complain and fight about Trump, or you want to, you know, get in there? Because there's still people out there doing that. There's motherfuckers still, like, it is mental. Like, God damn, if you've got the TDS at this point, like, you really got to work on your biases, man. You really got to get down and see, like, how they're fucking with your head on this stuff. Because it is all for that. All these extreme, get your emotion, like, oh, I hate that guy. That is all for you to find your biases. It's, you know, each person has to, you know, figure this shit out for themselves. But some people are happy in hate. Some people are happy to... And they don't even recognize that that's why there's this extreme shit that's bringing it up, so you can release it. They just want to hold on to it, hold on to their anger, hold on with their ego and their arrogance, and thinking that they know it all and they're right and everybody else is wrong and blah, blah, blah. But funny thing, oh yeah. So when I was going out towards that ride thing, and I was feeling... It wasn't a ride. It was just like, it's the way that they showed me. But it was weird how it was so isolated. It was so dark. It was like just what you'd imagine if a spaceship came and took you out into space. But space is different. It's like a hallway in the Starship Enterprise is where space is, where they can take you. So it's your own space. It's your own space and time. Everything is your own space and time. And it's what you do with it. It's like how you can get caught up in those moments and time doesn't affect them. And, so when I was seeing that and feeling it, see, I think that the watchers can feel, you know, they can feel our feelings like that. I really felt like that is a motivation. And I don't know how far it goes out, just like how our energy goes out beyond this representation of what we think is us. It goes, our energy is bigger than this. Our energy is, I haven't washed my hair in a long while. Our energy is, it goes past us. And so if the illusion wasn't seeing this game and seeing this avatar, then we would all look like, kind of, to me, like when you see a spider web and how the light reflects through it, how you get these like iridescent kind of deeper kind of colors, like the natural colors, that is what we would all be. And kind of like that same kind of shine. And it is, and that's based on your frequency. And so your frequency is your light. And it is interesting too, because one of, you know, back when I was doing my spiritual, like the thing, like going into more of, I don't know, 3D kind of spiritual kind of thing. Because before, when it was just me and my spirit, but then I started talking to other people, meeting people like back in 2016, 2017 and stuff. So in that time, I was, you know, I went to some different groups and stuff and talked to other people. And this one guy was talking about, and it seems like he was talking about a dream. It could have been a vision, but when he said it, I was just like, yeah, that's exactly how I see it. It is, he said that all the beings, all the people, not people, that is, you know, the word that we're called in the game, but we're beings of light. But those are all words that are created still here in this language. But in the being of light is based on your frequency. And your frequency is based on these things that I keep talking about that you're here to work on right now. Because that is how you're raising your frequency. Because you're working on it's like coming to peace with yourself and with the other beings. That you're not still playing like it's like a volcano when we're all in there playing the game and in this intense energy. But then now it is like changing and we are coming into this peace. But see, you gotta let go of this other stuff. The who you were. Oh yeah, because like what I was saying, when myself, because it wasn't like I was hiding myself. I would tell people weird shit all the time. But I was very caught up in this, I don't know, fake persona of me. You know, I mean, I was still like going out with guys, going, you know, just that empty kind of, you know, sex and stuff like that. And then caught up in working. I was a workaholic. I worked and worked and worked and worked. I spent money like crazy. I bought so much clothes, expensive clothes. I really am into clothes. And, so, you know, those are the things to me. I was just, you know, it was shallow and superficial. And you get caught up in that persona, you know. Kelly, who goes and gets massages, who's an RN, who, you know, does this and does that, and gets facials and all, you know, buys these clothes, goes out, you know, there's a persona that you create, and it's not really you. And so that part, you know, that is where everybody's got to find who they are, you know. That's why you got to ask yourself the questions, because I was definitely not who I thought I was, you know, and I was coming to peace with who I am, which, you know, that's a big thing too, for people to come to peace with who you are. When you discover you're not who you thought you were, you're somebody else, and you start becoming that other person, then the people who liked the other one, then they all of a sudden start thinking you've gone crazy. There's something wrong with you. But it's the opposite. It's you have realized that you aren't being true to yourself. And you got to figure out why and how to get to that point. And so all of those, you know, parts to find yourself is, well, it's all of the journey. But it is like that releasing of that self that was developed so that you can move into this other part. And in those other parts. So that is kind of like where all the souls, because we're not all the same color. We're not all the same intensity. It is all variable. And so it's the same thing as like looking through the spider web, looking at a diamond in the light, looking through a prism or something, how the different lights and the different, but that is like how we are. Like every soul, if you lined up all the souls and they would all be different colors of light, nobody would be exactly the same. You could be really similar. Like, you know, there could be, a whole bunch of gold ones, but they would all, if you put all the gold ones next to each other, there would still be some that had a little bit of blue, a little bit of red, a little bit of green, you know. There would still, you would be able to find those little tiny differences. And your brightness is your zest. It is you. It is your... and where you have so many people beat down, you know, it's like they dim their light. They get so beat down there, they dim their souls. Like if you took their soul out right now and saw it, it would be, you know, a light that is dimming. And, but then, you know, when you pass over and you remember, then you go back to your brightness. But that is like, they have all this dim. But that when this thing occurs, I think that is the light that comes on. Whatever this awakening is going to be, it's like they turn everybody's soul on. But that is where so many people are going to be like, feel so exposed, feel so shame because of all of this stuff. You know, it's going to be huge when this happens because of that part of it. You know, everybody wants everybody to wake up, but the awakening is, there's a purpose to it, and it is for each soul's growth and journey. So, so this next part is going to be very intense with the people who, it's so crazy too, because my one daughter, like, I'm not expecting people to be like, they'll do it kind of in their own way. You know, like my one daughter keeps sharing these memes of the conspiracy theorists finally being heard. And so, you know, she keeps sharing them, and I'm sure that's her way of kind of saying, okay, you were right, you know, without coming and saying anything, you know, right out. And so yesterday I said, yeah, it is nice for everybody to finally start seeing the truth. And she said, well, I don't know about that. So, because I know, you know, they've got a ways to go. Like, just for them to have their minds start to open There's so much information that is about to go in. It's going to be so hard for them to comprehend. And so, you know, I'm not going to be caught up in like, yeah, you should say I was right and you were wrong. Like, you know, you can just know it in your own heart. And, you know, and then plus, I swear, I can just tap into people's energy and know how they feel. It's weird. It's kind of intense. Especially, like, I can tap, and if someone feels sad, I'll start just, like, crying. It's weird. Okay, now the sun thing is... Yesterday, it took so long. Some of these days, it takes so long to download. Yesterday, it was one of those, and it was going so slow, so I started a second download, and that one totally bypassed it, went past, so I just deleted the first one. But it does that sometimes. I don't know what the hell they do. Like, I still, like, even with my TikTok, I don't get it, how they can just get to this 240. It's so ridiculous. But I have a couple that have gone past there, but man, and they just go tighter anytime that something does. But when you go in and look at all my stuff, it's like 200 views on all this stuff. And it's frustrating because and then I'll go in and I'll listen to people talk, and then I'll hear, you know, well, they could benefit from what I'm saying, but there's nothing I can do about it. This is a universal action. You know, they have to go through what they have to go through. And then when they start hearing people like me, because there is going to be a switch that when that happens, and all of us who have been in the shadows, who have stayed, you know, true, talking and saying the stuff that they're telling us to say, is that all of a sudden when it switches, then it's going to be, I think, our voices where people are going to start hearing that instead of all of this other. So that is what they show me all the time. You know, there's going to be a big abrupt change like that. Like the people who are not being heard, who are putting out the energy that the universe wants out there, then that's going to flip. And then, you know, it has to do with the energy you're putting out. So if you're putting out, like I think there's a lot of people who think like fighting with everybody, like that's standing up for themselves. That's setting boundaries. It's just to fight and argue with everybody. And so they think they're doing a positive thing, but the energy is going to show you. So the energy is going to, you're putting out a certain energy, and it has to do with your intention too. But one thing that you have to understand is that some of your lessons are so you understand your intentions, so you understand yourself at our core. So some of the things, you know, you could be having an intention, but you still need to learn about that. So, you know, there's going to be, it's going to be the energy is going to show you, you know, and the energy is going to be showing you what you need to work on. So no matter how it comes back and hits you, don't get upset and don't get mad and don't be like, oh, I did all my healing. I can't believe it. Now it's still, you know, this comes back. Be glad, like be glad you got all that other healing done. Be proud of yourself that you got to the level of having to deal with this other thing. Because each trigger is leveling up. Each time that you go through something and heal it, you are leveling up every time. So don't be hard on yourself and think like, well, I already did all my healing. This isn't fair. That is an ego flashback. You know, you got to let go of that stuff. And remember, your soul is in there, is just stirring the pot, is just trying to get all the shit out that it doesn't want in there. And so it's releasing and releasing and releasing. And anything that comes up is for you to release it. So you don't want to hold on to that stuff. That's only going to hold you back. You don't want to be hard on yourself and think that you are not doing good enough, that you're not healing right if you have other things coming up. No, it's all about the journey is always about healing. It's always about looking at things differently and reprogramming yourself to see things on a deeper level, to understand yourself on a deeper level, to get to that point where you're not just, you know, a first grader out on the playground, you know, jumping up and down and hollering and playing games. You are now an advanced graduate who takes the time to reflect and understand what motivates them and directs them into being who they are. You know, that's the leveling up, is to begin to try and understand yourself on another level. And that is lower chakra when you're not, because that is when you're just a reactive being. You're just an automatic, you know, fire back on things instead of going in and trying to understand, like, why did I just think that? Why did I just say that? So it is, you know, it's the leveling up of the mind, of the ability to, the consciousness to self-reflect for growth. And there's like, when the sun comes in this part, it is like so bright. So anyways, okay, so let me think what I was saying. Okay, so anyways, so everybody's soul is at a different color brightness. And so your color is your, what do they call the aura? And I think it is kind of like the aura of you or something is kind of like, oh, that's weird. It is kind of like what I was talking about. If you think about, it's funny, the body of Christ, the solar system. If you think about that as being a being, just like as we are our own universe. So you are your own universe, the micro, macro. So if you think of the universe, the whole world, everything out there as being that energy of, okay, let me think what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the body, you know, it has organs, and the organs have a purpose to keep your body going. Man, there is no, I should just left the curtain shut. There is, maybe I'm going to turn to the other one. Hold on. Let's turn on the couch. So that is a lot. It's blinding, that fucking light. So, anyways, the, oh God, look at my hair. Okay, so anyways, the reflection, I mean, so the body of Christ and all of, so the aura, like the different cells or souls, and they come from different, like if you think of the organs as being like a philosophy. And I think that is what they're, when they say like we're in this like experiment about us all coming together, it is because of all the different auras or the different philosophies, the different ways of approaching, the different, it's like, I've talked about this before, but this is just like how I see it. It's like this coming together for this collective consciousness is the agreement kind of not a surrender, but it's like a white flag. Like, we're not going to argue about this. Let's like, you know, it can be all different ways. It can be your way, it can be my way, it can be that way, this way, but we're not going to argue about it because that is, it can be any way. So there's nothing for us to argue about. There's nothing for us to say it has to be this way or that way. So we just have to let it go. So that is this coming into this letting go of things. And that's what we're in this process of doing. And so all of the different auras is like different. And you know, when they were showing me that long while ago, how this frequency, like this happening on the planet, this like shaking things up, this bringing, it was like, one of the things they showed me was like this game of marbles, and this frequency like thing shaking it, and all of the marbles went to their own color on the game. They showed me this like years and years ago, and it's something that has constantly been brought back up to me. But so that's the visual that I have been shown a lot of times. Like, if you don't understand my visuals, you gotta remember, talk to your guys about yours, because mine are going to show me things for me to understand. So but the frequency was like bringing you into your tribe, like how, you know, all the people on here, you know, like, is more like-minded. So it brings us, like, we're probably, like, if you put us all together, we probably are from the same kind of aura, like the same kind of color. Like, we are from the same kind of frequency. And that's why somebody would be listening to me, because they understand me on a different level. So that is the soul connection, that color that we all share of our understanding. And see, this frequency stuff was bringing their people, everyone, into their, like, their tribe, their mind is like a common mind, kind of common mindset, a common kind of understanding. Just like, you know, there's people who would listen to me and think I just sound like I mean, my kids, nobody will listen to me and my family or anything. Like, I think there's a lot of people probably in my family who don't even know I do this, when they're going to be surprised. Because I think well, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. I know what I've been showed for quite a while. So when you're coming in, so then, you know, it's like you go into like it's being on the same vibration. It's vibing. It's on the same wavelength. And that is like how all these different souls and all these different colors and vibration. But how, like, this one person was just saying it, they were out walking and they were enjoying the morning, you know, and they were out on the pier, and they were over in Chesapeake Bay, and they were out on the pier, and they were enjoying the morning, watching the geese, and they were talking about what a beautiful, gentle morning. It's in the comments. And then somebody else comes up, and they were just, you know, offended by how loud the geese were. And it is that vibration that is like where I talk about, like, the people who are low vibration are going to become more and more uncomfortable because of that kind of thing. Like, to them, that could really be like, they really, you know, all they hear is just like shrieking of the geese. And this other person who is of a higher vibration, who's just out there in harmony with the day, who's enjoying, you know, nature and, you know, the natural part of life, that they are feeling peace. And then somebody else comes in who's of this other vibration that is going to become more and more uncomfortable. And it is like a willingness to participate in the superficial or something. And it's something for each soul. Like, they're going to have all sorts of instances to get over it. Like, I'm sure that lady could have gone home and been like, man, I feel so frazzled. Why, you know, why would the geese bother me so much? But she probably won't think about that. She'll get a call. She'll want to go shop. She'll go to McDonald's, whatever. Because people are not trained, or they don't think deeper. They're just very superficial and shallow about life. And they don't understand, you know, that there's a point, there's a purpose, that you're here for a reason. And people don't even feel connected to their own soul. And your soul is who you really are at your core. And but there's a persona that the avatar creates. Like, is the creation of the avatar for the game. So you create somebody who you think can play the game. And, but, you know, it's to realize that you don't want to spend your life in the game. that there's other things going on. You can get out of the game and you can start participating just in living, in experience. And there's so much peace. Like, you know, I've definitely gone and just sat and stared and watched the geese. Man, if I hear the geese flying over me, I'll stop and stare up at the sky. I don't know why I've always felt so, ever since I was a kid, I would love to hear the geese flying over our heads and stuff. Like, but there is people who are, you know, think pigeons are nasty, geese are loud, they're gross, they poop everywhere and stuff. And they're fantastic creatures. And those things, like, they mate for life. Like, people have got to realize, like, there's so much disrespect for nature, and nature is so much more advanced than us in so many ways. And so many people are just like they're way more caught up in, you know, what they drive and how much money's in their bank and where they live. Oh, that's a big one, boy. Fuck, where you live. That is some ego on that, man. But that is going to be the downfall for a lot of people, you know. Where they live is going to take them down. New York City, I think is going to be gone for sure. Well, we already know, like, Louisiana is getting, all these places, they've got it on their map. They're telling us themselves. They're saying, hey, this is the map that we're going to be using soon. So any of those places are going to be gone, and, you know, it makes sense. California, so much ego. So much. In New York, and there's just more that goes with that, more toxic energies that go in that. So there's going to be mass destruction of certain places, but it is the energy, it is like what has to end to start something new. So those certain places have to, because of, it's like it's kind of like a dump or something. And then they just kept dumping more garbage and more garbage and more garbage in. And people just kept making room for the garbage. Like, it's okay. We live in California. And so it is all of that toxic energy. And that is kind of like what the earth is doing, is kind of just covering it up. Just like how I feel certain back there in the forest, there's whole cities that are hidden under it. Like, why? Why in the hell wouldn't they have kept some stuff up? Why wouldn't they keep some historical sites or something? How many, and I've seen other people, like over on the East Coast, out walking in the forest and find, like, hidden, elaborate houses, like, with concrete, like, where you would think it would be like a castle or something. And how much of that shit is underground? Do they come in purposely with dump trucks and dump dirt on shit? Like, there's the whole thing, you know, the mud flood. And, you know, and I know they create their own resets. You know, they do these resets. There's this big reset we're going through. And it's funny, too, because I hear some people saying, well, you know, our soul knows what to do because we've gone through it before. But from what I understand, this is the first time that it is ever going to happen, this reset, and the beings like us, that we are going to go through it and live. And but to me, it is because we've advanced in that we understand. Like, my leg, it is almost healed. 3 pieces of tape have come off, and I think I could take all the tape off today. It really is trippy. Like, this would be, let's see, would that be like 48 hours? I'm horrible with time or numbers and stuff. Because the first morning, okay, so that would have been 24 hours. Yesterday was another 24 hours. So this morning, it wouldn't even be, like, I didn't cut it till around 10 or 11. So today would be the 3rd day once it became 10 or 11. And I swear to God, I could take this off. And when I cut my foot open on this side, I swear they said I had to keep those stitches in like 10 days, 7 or 10 days, which I think it was more like 10. And now I'm just looking at things way different. Like, yeah, you're going to shoot my leg full of lidocaine so I don't feel you jabbing more needles in. But all of that trauma, because, okay, so cutting my leg, and this is stuff learning like in nursing school. So you cut yourself, and then you have these certain white blood cells. So it's like you literally have an army inside of you. And so these white blood cells, they'll rush to the area to protect the area. And they'll start releasing things to, like, clean it up, to make it better. Like the white blood cells, that's why people who, man, I don't want to get mixed up on that. I'm not going off on that whole thing. Okay, so the white blood cells, because it has to do with leukemia and stuff I was going to talk about, and, you know, the lack of those cells. And your red blood cells carry oxygen. So when those ones get damaged, then people will start having, you know, a lot of different problems because all your organs need oxygen. So you need healthy red blood cells to carry the oxygen to all of the organs and going through your body all day long. And it is nonstop, like, doing that. Every time your heart pumps and your breath is constantly moving that blood through. And so your breathing is oxygen, but, you know, they're making people's blood cells sick. That's what they're doing. And so, and you can, I think you can tell, like, how well your body's working is if you get a cut. Like, this cut is showing me that, like, I'm in a good, healthy state because it's healing so fast. But so if you think about, like, you cut yourself, so you have all these white blood cells that rush in there, and that's why you'll get, like, swelling, and the white liquid will start leaking out, the plasma and stuff like that. And so then, you know, you can put ice, you can wrap it, wash it, all the different things that people do. So I went in and I washed it. And then I, you know, used the tape to kind of wrap it because I pulled the cut so tight that it, you know, it didn't have, the blood that's on there is just like little bits that seeped out and made it like, what are those things called? Scab. And so the, but you think about this. So yeah, I cut my leg. And I have all that rushing in, and I go in, and I wash it, and I wrap it, and then I go down, and then they re-traumatize it over and over and over, because then they start poking it with needles, and all of that rushing in, all of that trauma, and the lidocaine, I don't even know, you know, like what that is actually doing. Like, it deadens it so we don't feel it, but I don't know, like, because I'm telling you, I think I could literally take all this tape off today and it would be fine. The only pieces is, like, some of them have just come off, and the ones that have come off, like, there was one that you couldn't even see anything. You couldn't even see a line anymore. And when I taped it, I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna have a big ass scar there, but, you know, big fucking deal. And now I think it's not even going to barely be noticeable. Because, so even if you got cut and you put the edges together, you don't have to have them just be perfect. It still is going to, when your skin touches into the other side of the skin, then it has a reaction and it starts healing and rebuilding. So that's what you just want to get, the edges touching. But even if you don't, there'll just be, you know, it's still going to do the same action. You just will have a divot. So as much as you can get them to touch, even if they're overlapping like that, it is, I don't know. I'll see when this is all healed. I'll do another video. Yesterday I did too. And I can't even believe how much it's healed. But I'll tell you, this wrist thing is fucking killing me. And I can see where it's swollen. So I don't know what I did on that. But to me, too, that is just, Listen to your body and let it rest. Like if you hurt your a soft tissue injury, like that would be the tendons and stuff. So I don't think I broke a bone. I mean, I could have cracked one, I guess. And I'll tell you another little sidebar on that. I've never drank milk. I've always, ever since I was a kid, thought milk was the grossest thing. I drank some chocolate milk when my mom would make me drink milk. I would drink chocolate milk. But that is, I've never been a milk drinker. I've always thought it was disgusting. And it was just gross. I always thought it looked like pus. So then later when I grew up and started hearing it's pus, and it was like, oh, I saw that. But anyways, and my grandma had osteoporosis. My mom has osteoporosis. And I don't eat meat. I haven't eaten like beef or pork since I was a little kid. Then as an adult, I ate birds and fish, but not very much. It was just like more of like my body would be like, there would be a certain feeling where I'd think, oh, I got to eat some meat. That's why to me, it's like, you got to listen to your body. You don't listen to these other people. You listen to you. And, so anyways, I've never been somebody who ate beef and pork. And, I don't know. I mean, supposedly that does something with your bones too. So I don't know, but you know, I'll be 62 here in a couple days, and I have fallen several times. It's so funny too, because when I was at my mom's, you know, I'm telling her all about, do this core strength and how much it's helped me. You know, I used to fall all the time, and now I never fall. Swear to God, since I said that, I fell like 4 or 5 times. It's like, oh my God, quit talking, Kelly. Just don't even say anything, because then you're going to have to see the other side. But, yeah, I've fallen so many times over the past few days, or the past week or whatever. I think I fell 3 times at her house. I was like, yeah, I never fall. Just watch, I'll fall over. But anyway, so, and all that stuff is for a reason. You know, nothing happens by accident. And, you know, I don't know, part of my reason is like, shut up, Kelly, quit saying stuff. Sound like a, you know, I don't know, I'll tell her to do her core strength. I'll tell everybody, you know, aging is giving up. Aging is going like, well, I'm older, I don't need to do that anymore. I'll hire somebody to do that. No, keep doing your shit. That's what keeps you strong. That's what keeps you young, is doing your stuff. And, you know, cleaning up your own yard, going and doing your things, wash your own damn car, you know, whatever things that you think. It's really important too as you age, is use your legs. When you're getting up out of a chair, don't use your arms. Use your legs and your pelvis and build that strength, because that is one thing where people get super weak, and they they'll use their arm. That's why they get those handicap bars and stuff, because they start relying on your arms. And people get their legs so weak that like they have to use walkers and scooters and all that stuff. And all it takes is you just to continue to use your legs. To use your legs, like, to me, I mean, depending on somebody's own, what is that word? Their own being limberness, their own limberness, then, because, you know, you should, I can get on the ground and sit Indian style and then stand up from that. And I may have to, okay, just a minute. I may have to use my arm a little bit to like get a balance or something, but do practices like that. Try and see like where your strength is in your legs and stuff, because it is important, because that right there, then people think, oh my gosh, she's so dramatic. Hold on, I'm just gonna go let her out. She's so dramatic. Oh my gosh, Stella. Because it's important to continue to work on strength building. That is where people are like, well, you know, I'm older and weaker. yeah, you may get some weaker, but you can build it back up. Like, there's fucking 60, 70-year-old bodybuilder guys out there. Like, it is a misnomer, I think is the word, that you automatically become weaker because you age. No, you become weaker because you believe a part of aging is you becoming weaker. You can become stronger. You can still do all of the things, but it is a surrender. Aging is a surrender. And it's important for you to know your own power and to not just give up, to keep going. So, you know, if you are struggling with your leg strength, you keep working on it, you know. And maybe get some of those little, like, if they're really weak, you can get like 1 pound little ankle strap things and put on there. But you can get up to 5 pounds. Just put them on and walk around the house, you know. And another thing too, like older people, they start, once they get into retirement, they're not working and stuff like that. A lot of people just become more sedentary and find things to do. Don't just sit in a chair and wait to, you know, die, because that's what you will do. You'll sit in a chair and wait to die. And if you are sitting around, like, being bored and stuff, like, because, you know, I've been in quarantine and isolation and shit. And then I've just kind of, I don't know, became not, like, peaceful about it, but it became where I see the benefit of it. But see the, like, keep working on, like, for me, through the day, like, if I'm watching something, and I had heard this a long while ago, and I totally think it makes sense. It's just, like, every couple hours, get up and, you know, do some jumping jacks, or do some sit-ups, or do some wall push-ups, something, you know. Everybody has got their own level, but do some activity that it keeps you going, because that is really, the aging is the giving up, the surrender is the atrophy. Your muscles just give up too. Everything just gives up with you giving up. And so it's like a lack of motivation, a lack of, you have to find those things. And then there's the other aspect of aging too, is guilt and pain and suffering and all of those things that also add on to how the person feels about themselves. So if you know, feel bad, you know, you don't have a good relationship with your kids, you don't have a good relationship with your parents, you know, and a lot of people's relationships that they thought were important were falling apart through quarantine and stuff like that. And so many people feel really alone and lonely and isolated. And, but to me, it is all for a reason, so you can really find yourself. But, and in the reshuffling, like, you're going to go more into, but see, you, like, learn and know yourself. Then it's very different when you go around, like, you can see. And it's not about judging people and saying, well, you know, they're below me, they're lower than me. It's just to recognize they're on a different vibration. Like, they all understand each other. And that's where I think a lot of communities are going to be built, on like-minded people. Like, I think definitely it will be, if you were traveling and going around to communities, you would go into some where it's going to be like, all the people are so similar in how their attitude, and it is going to be like entering their world, like entering a different world, a different energy. And we have that all around us right now, but so much of it is so chaotic, and it's so interfered with. But once it goes into that peaceful harmony, and you go into a place where it's like all these people have found each other, and they're all on the same wavelength, and it's going to be like going into a harmonious place. It's going to feel like those kind of places are going to be where people want to go. Like, you know, oh, have you been to, you know, whatever, Jacksonville, whatever place, you know, they name their town. And it would be like a destination that people would want to go to because of the harmonious nature that the people can find themselves in. And that is going to also bleed out into other communities where more and more people are going to see the benefits of building communities with like-minded people. And it isn't just about like following the rules. It is like there would not need to be a rule because we all agree, like, yeah, we would never do something like that. We all feel the same way about it. And we would always, you know, like if you're angry or you're mad, you know, that's something you should keep for you. You shouldn't go out and put it off on everybody else in town, you know. So it's you taking responsibility for yourself and staying in a position of reflection, maybe in an isolation, so that you can figure out like what's going on with you, why you feel like the need to lash out to anybody, so you can really figure yourself out. You know, before it's always been, you know, get to work. You don't have time to figure your stuff out. You've got things to do, people to meet, places to go, bills to pay. So there was never a lot of time to take time to you to figure out like what makes you tick. Why do you do the things you do? But this is the time. And it is going to become more and more uncomfortable if you're not taking the time. Like the woman who could, you know, the geese were too loud for her. Then it is going to be more and more uncomfortable for these people. It is going to be louder. It's going to be, you know, the frequency is changing. And it is, if you're not in that ability to change with it. And the only way to change with it is to heal. You can't just change your frequency because you want to. You can't just be like, oh, well, you know, I really want to enjoy those geese. You can, any of the things that you want to do, you can start taking action towards doing it. But there's the part of getting to why you feel the way you feel. That is the actual part where you can heal it, and then you can start feeling differently. But as long as you continue to be on edge and then just kind of like, well, I'm going to force myself. I'm going to force myself to not hear the geese. I'm going to force myself. Like, I could be a part of you learning control of yourself, learning control of your mind and stuff. But there's multifaceted. It isn't just learning how to control your mind. It's releasing. You got to release this stuff that you hold on to. And because that's a burden. And, you know, you have this great opportunity in life to release this shit now. So, you know, but there's a lot of people who don't understand what's going on in the world. And they're just caught up in all the politics, the sickness, all of the things. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's all about the spiritual stuff. It's all opportunities for you to grow and you to become you. And, you know, that's, to me, the main thing to be focused on. Not just, you know, like the other things is kind of just showing us, you know, how much longer. Like the stuff going on with Joe and Kamala and Trump and stuff like that. Man, it just builds and builds and builds. Like where, you know, like they're about to take Joe out. Like, I don't know. Maybe they're going to make him die. I don't know. And Kamala too. Like, oh my God. And the stuff these people are out saying. It's all just outrage. It's all just stuff to get people to notice, to pay attention, to question something, to think like, what the hell? But anyways, you know, just, you know, remember, it isn't just all about that stuff. You'll have your own personal journey that is happening, your own personal stuff. And it is your own personal growth. And you have to acknowledge that, you know, what your soul's doing here, what you are here for, and why you're going through what you're going through, and how you can make things better, how you can change you. And, those are the things to me. You know, the other things that are happening you know, just shows us how close we are to getting to that. To me, what we're watching for is that big switch, that big turning the other direction. And things are turning. Like, I keep hearing people's stuff in their lives, things are turning. Like, everything is shifting. Like, how Juan had said, like, think of it as like that big ship, like a big boat, and how long it takes for a cruise, a big old, one of those big, what are those things, like a cruise liner, how long it takes one of those to turn, to go the other direction. And as it's turning, then you can see the energy in certain parts is turned already. So that energy is already turning, but we still have the big thing that's going to take us in the other direction. And that is, you know, we're watching what is going on in the world gives you more of a barometer or gauge to see how close we are. And to me, it's really close. Like, there's so many people who things are changing, and there is stuff going on with the censorship. Although, you know, they still have a tight hold, but there is a purpose to that, because the people who are being so censored, there's a reason. You know, it all goes together when it changes. And I don't know. To me, this is all just going to be very interesting to watch it, how it plays out. But to me, you know, we're really close. And it is important to just keep trying to understand yourself and really see, you know, there's a much bigger picture. You know, even if you think like, well, there's not that much for me, there's a reason. There's a reason why you're seeing the things you see. There's a reason that everything. And so don't minimize your reason. You know, don't make you or your life, you know, small. Make it bigger, you know. There is a good reason. Like, you're going to play a big part. You're going to help build communities. You're going to help people to see what they didn't see and stuff. You know, there's a reason why that you are experiencing the things you're experiencing. So keep that in mind on everything about you. Don't minimize what you're going through or what your soul's challenges are, because it all has a significant impact into the bigger picture. And we're right on the edge of this new picture. And so you don't really know your part, but just keep going towards that direction, towards knowing, you know, you're healing. You can see like, you can see what's important. And there's so many people who can't. And it's important for the people to recognize what's important and share it so that other people can see. Because, you know, that's the way it works here. Like, there's something about it takes somebody to see it first to get everybody else to see it, that 100th monkey thing or something. Anyways, so Stella's having a fit out there. She probably wants to go for a walk. I swear to God. And we went for 2 walks yesterday. One was really short, but one was really long. And it was hot. And she just kept going and going and going. And, oh my gosh, we had people pulling up in their cars, stopping. Like, everybody, it's weird how this is just happening. Like, it is very strange. And all these people pulling up in their cars, talking. One talked to Stella. It's like, this is so weird. Like, this is, especially like anybody who knows like what I've gone through this quarantine with Winston dying, and then all of the stuff with Stella's sickness, and, you know, taking her to the med beds last year. And yeah, somebody was asking me about that. And mine was, I went to the energy enhancement systems at, what was that guy's name? He had interviews with, I can't think of his name. Serpa? Maybe his name's Serpa, something Serpa. But he had some interviews with the people who did that energy enhancement. And they're supposedly putting out a lot more. But the only thing I found with it is a system that you need kind of, we should all have them in our houses. It should just be something that we all have these enhancements, this vibration enhancement system, like a room where you go and meditate every day, then you would see huge in your health. The way they have it set up, where you have to go in and pay, and you have to be right near one. Like, there's people who have them near them, and they can go all the time. But it's not like the military medical beds that are going to be like, you go into it and in 24 hours you come out and you're healed. These are much more, you need that daily dose of that high frequency. And then it makes a huge impact on your health. It did make, I still think it helped Stella. And those 2 worms came out of me. So, but I still had problems with my eyes. I was really hoping, it was going to heal my eyes. But I think if I went in there all the time, that I would see changes. It's not going to make the implants disappear out of me. But, and I don't know. I think over long term, could grow teeth back and all that stuff. But the military med beds, that is going to be, where whatever sickness, like MS, that'll be healed. All of those things, they'll be healed. And, but if you have one of those energy enhancement system places near you, like, you can look it up, and they have locations. And there was a short on the building, the machines. And so there was tons and tons of orders. So there's going to be a lot more opening. There should be a lot of healing centers and stuff. They'll be opening. And maybe it is because, that is going to be really good for people in the future. Like, after you go through the med bed and you get everything healed and back to your homeostasis of your ecosystem, then those kind of going into those kind of centers, will be really different, because we're working from a higher state than, being sick and going in and thinking that can do all the work. Because it's, but like, one of the things when I was asking about it, because I was asking too, because about my brain injury, and they said, oh, you definitely would need a 24 unit. Like, they told me themselves, like a 6, a 12 is not going to do much for somebody who has a severe thing. So if you have MS or something and you're trying to go, you need to go to a 24 unit, and there's only a few of them, and you have to get there. And then I was lucky enough, I got it overnight, because I pushed out Stella there. So she gave me an overnight, which most people go in and pay and get a couple hours in there. And they're in there with a whole group of people. Like, there's a few things about them where it's like, man, this could be a lot better to me. But to me, I would just want one of those systems just in my house. Just, where I can just go in, like I said, go in and meditate, do your yoga, do your whatever, you're tuning into yourself, your movement to, there's a part, I think, of everyone's day where you should be tuning into yourself. And that would be a great room to do that if you had that. I'm sure your health, like the one doctor who got that one system, his hair quit being, all his silver hair went back to its normal color because he was age regressing. But you need that. He had one in his house, and he would go in it every day. And that, to me, that's where you'll see really benefits. But they're super expensive. And you have all these people who are buying them to start their healing centers. So, I don't know if that's just going to be a part. There's going to be big changes, in the direction that we're going, in our health and all of that stuff. And, the med beds, the medical ones, or the military ones, that's going to be a huge difference. And I swear they've got to be, because they've made so many people sick. It's got to be close. Like, I can't, there's no way. I'm definitely not on board with, oh, after the election, and then we'll do it. No. If the last one didn't show you that it's all bullshit, then I don't know what to tell you. You're going to hold on to the next one like, I don't know, you've got a lesson coming, I think. But I think, to me, one of the biggest things was them to, the Fed now is starting in July 1st. And still hasn't. We still have cash. So, that to me is that everything they try goes quantum. So that is where we're at. That's why they're pushing, Kamala's got to go down, Joe's got to go down, because we're right on the edge. Like it's about to switch. Once it switches and the money thing, look, you got to remember, it's going to be only a small amount of people where everything's going to be like, cool, God, I'm so excited. And a lot of people are going to be in trauma and, oh my God, I've lost everything. And, you know, it's going to be, but then I think that's when we're going to start having the med beds and they're going to start getting the free cities more. Like them already talking about the one is just kind of to get it out there, to get the seed planted. And there's going to be so much more of that, I think. But still, you know, I mean, they're threatening us again now with the nukes and stuff again. So it can be that that's going to be our big thing. But something big is going to happen. And that is going to change everybody's attitude and get everybody. And then once that starts going and we start getting into med beds and the different patents, like, man, it will be like a quantum leap in life where we're going to just go huge jumps from where we are now. Like, it's going to be a huge jump into the future from where we are now. And so that is what, you know, that's kind of what I watch when I'm watching the energy, is like how close we are to that. And to me, it seems like, but I've thought we were close, like, fuck. Like, I'm shocked how this just drags on. But anyways, I still feel like this summer is going to be intense. Like, it's going to be more intense, even though it's just like, God, it slowly drags in. But how can they just keep this going? Like, they've got way too many things. Like, certainly people have got to start being like, well, why aren't we on the Fed now? Why aren't we on the, you know, I don't know. We'll just see how it all keeps playing out. But anyways, I think we're close to big changes, and just, you know, keep working on you. That's the main thing, is just work on you and learning to love yourself, reprogramming your mind. And the better you are at it, you'll see, like, that energy will come back to you. You'll have people that will cross your path and you'll be able to help them. It is all going to be the energy that you're putting out, and you will see soon. It will become clear to you. I'm looking forward to it. Like, I really want to see. I'm ready. If I'm putting out bad energy and I need to face something in myself, like, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to see what I don't see. I'm ready to face myself. And that, I think, is just a good attitude to go into it with. You know, don't get caught up in your ego and trying to be perfect and, you know, what is success and what is a good person and all that stuff. You know, all those things are reprogramming yourself to understand this is a spiritual adventure. And you're here to learn and to grow and to expand so that you can become that brighter color, so that you can be shinier. And that is, and in this soul world where we are all these colors and stuff, you can't go outside of your color. Like, if you think of it being like a spectrum of a rainbow, like, then all of the people who are indigo, they can't go past the indigo. The people who are pink can't go past the pink. Like, they could go to the indigo and the pink. Like, I don't know, like, how the whole thing is designed, but your color, you could go through the ones, but you can't go past where you are. So if you think of the color, like, on the rainbow, and your being can go through this part, this part, this part, this part, but you can't get past this part. That's all based on frequency. So your color, like I said, you could be like gold, but then you have a little bit of red, a little bit of blue, a little bit of pink, you know, so you have all this multiple color in you, like a bubble. Then you can go up, but you can't go past where your frequency stops. And that is why I believe why souls are constantly wanting to expand and be birthed and all of that stuff, is because all of the knowledge, all of your growth, it really affects your soul. It affects you outside of this life. So if you spend all your time in this life trying to work on stuff that is material in this life, then you're not growing or expanding your soul, because your soul is, it takes it with it. Everything you do to grow and expand and learn takes it. It becomes a part of your imprint. So anyways, I guess I'll get going. But, you know, we'll just have to see. I feel like a lot is going on. Like, I feel weird today. You know, like I need to talk to this person, and I feel kind of nauseous. And I don't know if that is, I've seen another person sharing this map of what it looks like if we are in this toroidal thing, not a flat surface, but in this, to me, more like dimensions. And what makes more sense with this rotation of how they have the sun and the moon going, and why. Like if the sun is, I think there's more than one sun that they have got going. But like if the sun is going like this, and then this Nibiru thing is, so if the sun's going like this, then the Nibiru thing is going around it like slower. Like you could see the sun, but it's like maybe every 4th day that you would see the planet by it. But that is also dependent on where you are. And I think that is also dependent on, like, is there something weird like about our atmosphere over here where I'm at, and it looks weird on that map and stuff. And I think that is what causes this nausea and stuff, which to me has something to do with like the pole shift. It's like this shift. It's like this equilibrium. It's like this, that to me is why I feel nauseous. It's like there's something weird happening. So anyways, we'll see, you know. We'll see. Every day it's like, oh, please, today be the day. And each day that it's not, it's like you just got to go. Don't put too much expectation, because then you'll just, the disappointment of feeling so let down, like, oh, this can't be real. This just goes on and on. But it is real. And, you know, there is people waking up all the time. Like, I can't even believe, like... just some of the conversations that I've had, you know, they're changing and they're getting better, and people are waking up. So just stay positive, even if everything just seems whacked as shit. Just, this is real. This is real, and this is really happening, and it's all about spirit stuff. We're moving into a spiritual time, and we got to release what is the 3D materialistic to move into the spiritual. So it's all a process. So use your time wisely, and I'll talk to you later.